back to the Flora times. It's been a really long time since I last updated the previous video, right? Well, I'm sorry about that. Anyway, today we'll learn about an extremely long but interesting war between the two flowers, the War of the Roses. The War of the Roses began in 1455 to 1485 with 5 reigning kings: Henry VI, Edward IV, Edward V, Richard III, and Henry Tudor or Henry VII. Here are the 5 important years we should remember. 1377, the root of everything, when King Edward III died. Then, in 1399, Henry IV staged a coup and became the king. Then, in 1461, Edward IV became king and continued with 1483, when Richard III also staged a coup and crowned himself king. Finally, in 1485, Henry VII or Henry Tudor took back the crown and ended the war. These are the 5 important years that we should remember, even though, yes, there are lots more important dates and events that occurred during the war that we should also take a note of. Okay, so let's come to the basic information first. As I said before, this war began in 1455 till 1485. It is an English civil war between the families of Lancaster and York, and surprisingly, they both have the rose symbols, one red and one white. In the end, a Lancastrian, Henry Tudor, came to the throne. He united the two families by marrying Elizabeth of York and created the House of Tudor. Now let's come to the family tree. It all began with the death of King Edward III in 1377. The next person in the line of succession, or in other words, the crown should belong to Edward the Black Prince. However, he died even before his father, so his son, Richard II, succeeded to the throne, skipping the entire generation. This succession infuriated the nobles. Thus, Henry IV gathered his army to create a coup d'etat, and he succeeded. Then, Henry V succeeded to the throne, and Henry VI succeeded his father and then became the next king. However, he was too young and weak at that time. Also, he had a conflict with Richard, the Duke of York. And in fact, Henry VI was quite interesting. He sometimes had periods of insanity, and he was also the King of France due to his father's conquest. And if I recall correctly, his father was amazing. He married a French noblewoman, Margaret of Anjou, and he had a son with her, Edward of Lancaster, or Edward of Westminster. And that guy was also the Prince of Wales. Henry VI wasn't doing a good job as a king, honestly, because he depended on his advisors a lot. But what actually happens that led to the whole war? Well, in 1452, Richard the Duke of York marched on London with an army. He declared that he was loyal to the king, but wanted the Duke of Somerset, the king's corrupt advisor, to step down. And this was a big deal, because as I previously said, the kings depended a lot on his advisors, and this was pretty much like telling the king to step down. And so, King Henry VI went mad and became ill in 1454. And then Richard declared himself Lord Protector of England while Henry was ill, and this was indeed illegal. Then, with his new title, Richard imprisoned Somerset. Luckily, in 1455, Henry VI recovered from his insanity, took back his kingdom, and, with some encouragements from his wife, he started a war with Richard. At first, Richard of York was victorious at the Battle of St. Albans, wounding Henry and re-becoming Lord Protector of England. Then, Margaret of Anjou gathered an army to oppose him. They met at Blore Heath in 1459 and Richard won again. Nonetheless, Henry and Margaret then forced Richard into a retreat at the Battle of Ludlow Bridge. And finally, Richard captured Henry at the Battle of Northampton. Hence, Henry VI and Richard of York reached an agreement that Henry would remain king until his death, but then Richard would succeed to the throne. This was called the Act of Accord. So, the war ended now, right? Well, no. Margaret, as a mother, still wasn't happy and kept fighting for her son's right to succeed his father. Her army defeated Richard of York at the Battle of Wakefield Green. Richard was then killed and his head was put on a pike.
Oh no!
So, all done, right? Not yet. Richard's son, Edward, kept on fighting for his right to succeed to the throne. Remember the Act of Accord? Richard, the Duke of York, was supposed to be the next king, but he was killed, so Edward, his son, would have the legal right to succeed his father. Edward had 3 battles with Henry VI, 2 Yorkist victories and 1 Lancastrian victory. Then, King Henry VI, Margaret of Anjou, and their son, Prince of Wales, were sent to Scotland, while Edward crowned himself King of England, Edward IV. Nevertheless, in 1470, Margaret defeated Edward IV and put Henry VI back on the throne. Then, Edward defeated them at the Battle of Tewkesbury, killing the Prince of Wales, imprisoning Henry VI, and capturing Margaret in 1471. Then, Henry died in prison in the Tower of London, and Margaret died in France. Then, this unbelievable long war had come to an end, right? Well, no. Sorry, I can't help but to continue this crazy long war.
What?
King Edward IV's son, Edward V, succeeded his father when he was still a child. Edward V was then deposed by his uncle, Richard III, the other son of the original Richard of York, who at first acted as Lord Protector. The young king and his brother, another Richard, were known as the princes in the Tower because they disappeared, probably imprisoned in the Tower of London by Richard III. Luckily, Henry Tudor, a descendant of Lancastrians, raised his army in France and defeated Richard III at the Battle of Bosworth in 1485. Henry Tudor then became King Henry VII and Mary Elizabeth of York, bringing the two houses together and beginning the Tudor dynasty. And by the way, if you notice carefully, the Tudor rose includes both red and white roses to symbolize the uniting of York and Lancaster. The end. Thank you for listening. If you find my video interesting and want me to make another video about any educational thing, you can comment down below or email me. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you are interested in this video. Stay tuned!